Good evening. You're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. We're starting off with updates on hijab ban. The Karnataka High Court today uploaded the interim order passed in the petitions challenging hijab ban in colleges in the state. The court has requested the state to reopen the educational institutions at the earliest and has restrained students from wearing any sort of religious clothes, regardless of their faith, while the matter is pending hearing. The interim order is only applicable for those institutions which have a uniform dress code. Now, in the order, the court said, and I quote, pending consideration of all these petitions, we restrain all the students, regardless of their religion or faith, from wearing saffron shawls, scarves, hijab, religious flags, or the like within the classroom. We make it clear that this order is confined to such of the institutions wherein the college development committees have prescribed the student dress code or uniform. The interested students would be better served by their returning to the classes than by the continuation of agitations and consequent closure of institutions. The academic year is coming to an end shortly. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court declined to urgently list for hearing an appeal filed against the ad interim order of the Karnataka High Court over the hijab controversy and advised parties not to spread the controversy to larger levels. CJI Ramana said, and I quote, don't spread these things to larger levels. We also know what is happening there, and you also have to think over whether it's proper to bring those things to Delhi, national level issues, and all of that. End quote. Also in the news, personal details including phone numbers of the 6 students from Karnataka's Ooty district who were protesting against the hijab ban have now been leaked online. Now, according to PTI, a police case has now been filed. The police superintendent of Ooty district said, and I quote, appropriate action will be taken once documentary evidence of the leaked information is available, end quote. Now, the parents have expressed fear that miscreants might use the details to threaten the girls. Now, the Karnataka state government has decided that classes for 8, 9, and 10 high schools will open on Monday, and the decision on reopening colleges, however, will be taken later. The order comes as the state government had ordered the closure of high schools, if you remember, for 3 days after the controversy on wearing hijab inside classrooms in the state, with clashes erupted recently. Moving on from the story now, on to COVID updates. Sikkim and Gujarat have both lifted restrictions. Markets, shops, and commercial establishments in Sikkim shall function as normal. In Gujarat, businesses, including restaurants, will be allowed to operate until 11 p.m. in these 8 cities, while home delivery services by restaurants and hotels are permitted 24/7. Now, February 11th to 18th, curfew will be imposed in 8 cities from midnight till 5 a.m. Now, vaccinated travelers can enter United Kingdom without taking any COVID test starting Friday, according to Associated Press, after the government scrapped one of the final restrictions imposed over the past 2 years in response to COVID. Now, British residents and visitors who have had at least 2 doses of an approved COVID vaccine only need to fill out a passenger locator form before traveling to the UK. Unvaccinated people still have to take tests both before and after arriving, but no longer need to self isolate until they get a negative result. Now, Russia has reported over 2 lakh COVID cases for the first time since the pandemic began in the last 24 hours. It also recorded 722 deaths in the same period. The previous state had reported 1.97 lakh new COVID cases. On to business news right now. Speaking in Rajya Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman clarified, and I quote, the government has a sovereign right to tax profit made from cryptocurrency transactions, and the decisions on banning or not banning will be taken based on feedback from consultations. I'm not doing anything to legalize or ban cryptocurrencies at this stage. We only have taxed the profit emanating from the transactions, end quote. On to environment news now. Starting 2025, at least 1,000 endangered turtles, northern river terrapins, will be released annually into the wild in Sunderbans. Now, in January, 10 turtles fitted with GPS transmitters were released from a breeding center to allow experts to track them. Hindustan Times has reported that the species was once widespread in the mangroves and estuaries of West Bengal and Odisha, but overfishing has led to a rapid decline in the population. And news coming in from across the globe right now on to Ukraine crisis. First, US President Joe Biden has warned that, and I quote, things can go crazy quickly, end quote, in Ukraine, and again urged American citizens to leave immediately. In an interview with NBC, he said, and I quote, American citizens should leave now. We're dealing with one of the largest armies in the world. This is a very different situation and things could go crazy quickly, end quote. Remember, Russia has maintained that it does not plan on invading Ukraine. However, it has over 1 lakh troops in the Ukraine border, according to several reports. Meanwhile, NATO has raised the alarm over the Ukraine crisis, warning of a real risk for a new armed conflict in Europe. NATO said that the alliance would consider maintaining a longer term presence in Eastern Europe in the coming months. Also in the news, the US government has urged Canada to use federal powers to ease the growing economic disruption caused by the blockade of the vital Ambassador Bridge by protesters opposed to COVID mandates. The protests are referred to as Freedom Convoy and has majorly spread in Canada's capital. A state of emergency has also been declared in the capital. One piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin. Ooty's block educational officer, who's called R. Karthik, has been conferred the National Award for Innovation and Good Practices in Educational Administration. Now, this is according to a report by the New Indian Express, which says that he was awarded for helping students to clear the NMMS exams. He also helped poor students get scholarships and took steps to increase student strength in government schools as well. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.